seems fitting to end this season of the ride series as we started, with a secret weapon. Over the years, the Alton Towers Resort in the United Kingdom has given code names to its major new rides during their construction phase. The first, Nemesis, was opened in 1994 and eventually built under the codename SW3. When it came to the next big ride at the park, it inherited the codename SW4, and it was to be something a little different from its predecessor. The ride's designer, John Wardley, worked again with the manufacturers of Nemesis, Walter Bollinger and Claude Mabillard, who gave themselves a huge challenge: how to build a roller coaster with a vertical drop.
How it came about was Walter that suggested to me the idea of a vertical drop. But the technical problems were enormous, because we needed high capacity in all the rides at Alton Towers. It wasn't a case of a few hundred an hour. We had to exceed 1,200 an hour at least in order to keep the queue lengths down. Now, if you take a conventional coaster train and you drop it vertically, what tends to happen is as the train accelerates, the front of the train is going vertically downwards. The back of the train is still going horizontally. And as the train accelerates, the back of the train gets whipped over the edge, such that the people are pitched forwards. And it just is a technical impossibility to do this sort of vertical drop with a flexible, long train. The train has got to be as short as possible. And of course, if the train is short in its length, but has a capacity of, let's say, in excess of 12, 15 people, that means it's got to be wide. So we had to come up with a design for a vehicle that was far wider than it was deep. That meant a very, very broad gauge track and a train that overhung the track quite considerably, which again had all sorts of technical difficulties, but B&M rose to the challenge. Then we were faced with, how do we get a significant vertical drop and not go up above the tree line and keep the planners happy?
As many of you will already know, the Alton Towers Resort are unable to build any ride above the tree line. It led to what at the time was possibly the biggest civil engineering project Great Britain had ever seen, certainly in a theme park anyway.
We are entertainers. The fact that we use concrete and steel to do our entertaining, as opposed to a piece of Shakespearean text or whatever, is immaterial.
With no possibility of breaking the strict planning constraints, Wardley and his team were forced to dig a giant hole.
And if that meant we couldn't go up in the air, again we had to go down. But instead of just digging a great hole, I thought, what about a tunnel, a vertical tunnel, like a shaft that disappears into the ground? And then I thought, better than that, disappears into the ground and it's not obvious where it's coming out, that you would disappear into Oblivion. And the name was obvious, Oblivion.
When other people in the world move out of your back garden, when you celebrate the passing of your life as Mr. Batman, you could see that all the possibilities in peacetime. Force a new decision, don't subject them all to oblivion.
And again, it was done as a sort of secret project. You can't hide things at Alton Towers when you're building them, but you can use that secrecy to whip up enthusiasm and interest. And the mistake that a number of parks make is they hype a ride up far too early. As soon as they break ground, or even before they've broken ground, when they're planning a ride, they start the media bandwagon going, which means by the time the ride opens, the media are a bit fed up with it. You know, it's exhausted itself. Whereas with all our rides, we keep them under wraps, leak a little bit of information out. This intrigue builds up, but then all the media stuff is released in a couple of months before the ride opens, and it works extremely successfully.
The marketing of Oblivion was actually an incredible campaign, perhaps unwittingly immortalising the ride forever with its famous tagline, "Don't look down."
I advise you not to look down, but be warned. If you do choose to close your eyes, this may be taken as a sign by your friends that you have no bottle.
Don't look down.
Oblivion, the world's first vertical drop roller coaster at Alton Towers.
So they cordoned off the area. They had actors posing as security guards, keeping people away. And when people asked what was going on, they worked to a set script. It was great fun. I mean, it was all very carefully calculated, and it worked a treat. And again, Oblivion has been a very successful attraction in the park.
It's best not to get careless. Oh goodness, my gracious, I hope it's not contagious. Although it seems catchy, it's best not to get careless.
There is no way out. There is no happy ending to this story. Welcome to the unknown. Welcome to eternal darkness. Welcome to Oblivion.